Hello, welcome back. I'm joined with Nicolette, who has been over in Morocco buying some lovely items for some of the victims of the fire.
Hi.
I thought that your way of doing things was very personal, and I thought it was lovely that you took the time to
The reason
go.
sorry, I've got a bit of a delay. The reason that I decided to do this is my daughter is involved with a project on the ground and some coordinators that are independently supporting families so that we're sure that nothing that is donated, no money, no funds, everything that's raised is not vanishing. Because I am assuming that most people are aware that the initial donations, the large supplies of things, didn't reach the families. It was stockpiled, collated, and we don't know where it's gone. So this way we can ensure that what the money that I receive or that is passed to them in donations things, items are collected personally and then given to the families' coordinators to take to the families. There's no middleman.
Because that was a big problem. You had all these crowd funds and things that popped up, and everybody thought, oh wow, they've got all this money, but it hasn't got through to the people that need it, has it?
No, and the other problem is there's been some fraudulent ones, and I suppose this is the same when anything like this happens. You do have people, and some are not known, some are known. So I've had some warnings about people that are known that have a history of doing this, and we've got some photographs that have gone up onto the group to be aware of certain people that are posing as. I've seen one posing as a nun, another posing as a fundraiser, another is a regular crowdfunder for disasters, and they take the money and scarper. So people need to be very cautious as to if they're handing money over, that they're actually giving it to the right people.
Well, one thing
want to make sure that
I liked about you was the fact that you're very open, and you say that, it might be hard to trust me, but, I'm going to ask you to. You're open with people, and you show people along the way what you're buying, and you put a lot of thought and time and effort into what you're getting these people, because we take for granted that they've lost everything, but you were mentioning tea sets and things like that they would like. They're personal items that mean things to these people.
Well, I suppose the fact that I'm here, I came to Morocco because I'm sick, and the climate here helps me. And so I've been in and out since October 2015, on backwards and forwards. And so when you live somewhere, it's an Islamic country, you see how people live traditionally. And I don't mean luxuries because it's an undeveloped country. I mean, it's very basic, but it's simple, but it's how they've grown up. It's things that are traditional, like having a teapot and having tea in the afternoon, or having hot milk for breakfast with your flatbreads and your pastries and these kind of things. The fact that people need to wash a certain way. You can't just put someone in a shower. They need a scoop and a bucket of water and certain products, because before prayer is washing. Now you think that they're praying 5 times a day. That's a lot of washing. No one's going to go and jump in the shower for 5 times a day. It's a small bucket of water, and then almost like a jug with a handle to tip the water over.
Yeah.
So things like this, and the mitts, even it's called a kiss, that's used for exfoliating. Put the body, warm the skin with water, and use the kiss, and use the soap and wash a certain way. So these things I'm aware of because I'm here. Yeah. And so the first thing I wanted to do was talk to the coordinators and say, look, what are the washing facilities? Washing is really, really important. To actually show the coordinators, look, this is the bucket, this is the scoop, this is the way that they're going to need to wash. We need to make sure they have wash facilities. We just did a raise for the crepe makers, and the reason I chose the crepe makers and asked for crepe makers for especially the Moroccan community, because I'm here in Morocco, and we have I think it's 15 families, Moroccan families have survived so far. I don't know how many are missing, but 15 are actually receiving care. And so here I've got one in my kitchen. It's and I bought it from the UK. It's just like a big crepe maker. If you put a jug of milk on it, a heat-proof jug, or you put water on it, it will heat it. If you want to griddle food, it will heat it. If you just want to warm things or make your pancakes, it does all of it. So for me, it was logical to get the families that don't have kitchens that need to eat. They're only being given bed and breakfast in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
For them to actually have the independence to go and actually get a jug and be able to heat up milk, especially when there's children in the house, to give them warm milk with some sugar, or to warm them a panini, rather than trying to spend money on takeout food that they don't have. They don't. The thing I'm trying to get money for now is the mini fridges. All of the families down there need mini fridges, regardless as to which community they belong to, whether that be Afghan, Italian, Spanish, British, African, different countries, African countries, or whether it be the Moroccans. They need mini fridges because they can't keep things like milk or butter or cheese, and we need them to be able to eat. And most importantly right now, and the thing that's really weighing heavy on my heart is the fact that the government and the councils don't seem to have put a priority as to being housing them. It just seems to me really sad that red tape and rules and regulations haven't been waived in this situation. Instead of waiting for photographic ID or benefits or assessments, just get them housed, and the insensitivity of offering them another tower block, that's not good for mental health. It's not good for morale. It doesn't show any respect whatsoever. We have hundreds of homes across the capital that are derelict and empty. We have hundreds of very wealthy homes that have been abandoned.
There was lots of bed and breakfasts around the area that were empty as well. That could have been used. Also,
we've had families that have been, and this is first hand, this is not rumour mill, we've had families that have been moved in the middle of night, and they have been moved from their hotels without warning. Families that are being moved from hotels purely because the hotel management have bookings for this time. Now, what I would do if it was me, if I was the boss of that hotel, and I would appeal that anyone listening could perhaps, if you know someone who's working in a hotel, who manages a hotel, who's a receptionist, speak to the management and say, look, please, there's been an appeal. Is it possible for you to make cancellations and house these people? Just house the families, please. If you cancel the bookings with an explanation, I am sure not one person in this UK will complain. Not one person will be rude enough or have low morals that they say, no, I want my room. I'm sure everyone would donate their room to a family.
Yeah.
If they don't want to donate their room to the family, then I don't want to hear about them. I don't want to hear about people like that. But I'm sure they would. I feel from the donations that have come forward, from the finances that have come forward, from the offers of help that have come forward. For example, yesterday I did a request for direct help for one of the Afghan families who are in a room. Now, this family have a double bed and a single bed, 3 babies, 7 children, and adult parents. I don't think all of the parents are there. I think it's a one single parent and some parents. I don't know if anyone's been injured or hurt or not made it, but I do know there are people that are classified as missing. I can't say they're dead because they're classified as missing. And we can only conclude what that's going to mean. And I'm not qualified to say. But so they're also in limbo. They can't grieve because they have no confirmation. They can't go anywhere because they're waiting to receive. And they're in one room. Now, these 3 babies are under 1 year old. They need to be in accommodation with cots. They need to be in accommodation for each of those families. They are relatives, but we're talking about 3 families condensed into one room, and parents who are abroad returning this week, I believe, which is an absolute shambles. So I did an appeal for funding to get them into private rent, and then was told, look, if you put them in private rent, they're going to lose their entitlement to benefits.
Yeah.
And my argument was, well, look, if we get them into private rents, they can still get local housing allowance for their private rents, but we need to get them the deposit. Luckily, thank goodness, we had a social worker contact me yesterday, and I put her directly in contact with the coordinators and the team. Like, I'm only at the front. You see me in the camera, in the video, because people can respond to the fact that I'm in Morocco buying halal products, buying Islamic products. Everyone's a voyeur and wants to see somewhere different. They're seeing something different in Morocco. But I'm only the front. I'm like the shiny wrapping paper. The core quality of the present inside the box is behind me. I'm just the shiny wrapping. So we have a great team that are coordinators, therapists, social worker, teacher, nurses, volunteers who are doing administration, a tech team. Now, these are all independent. They're not attached to any government or council regulations or groups. They've not been infiltrated. We've had a couple of attempts to have people come in and spy and send stuff back, and also saboteur. I would use the word saboteur. because a couple of girls were negatively posting on things, and they were also, I had to reprimand two, and I did it publicly, so I can say it on air. I had two girls post on one of my posts. They put up a document that contained a link to an app, that if you clicked this link, I looked at it thoroughly. When you open it, I was horrified to see a layout of the Towers building, with every room numbered, with every family named. And I asked them to delete it. I said it was an invasion of privacy. They said their argument was, well, the papers have released the list, it's public knowledge. I said, excuse me? I said, you know the morals of the media, the press. You know that what they do is not always right, and there's loopholes for them. I said, morally, this is wrong. We have to look at this morally. Yeah. So I said, if this was your family member, if this was your relative, if someone was still missing, if you didn't have confirmation, if you're in another country and you don't know, would you want to see this written down in a little document for everyone on the internet to look at your family's business? And they just tried to justify themselves publicly and were quite rude to me.
I think this is quite a big problem with Grenfell, is that a lot of people want to help and a lot of people want to get involved, but they don't necessarily take the time to stop and ask what the survivors want. They have their own vision of what they want to do, whether it be a protest or whatever. They don't necessarily sit down and say, what do you want to the people of Grenfell?
Well, exactly. This was one of my points. Was one of the girls even said, "Oh, the fact we've been asked to do this," and I said, "Who by?" And they said, "The families." I said, "Tell me one family that's asked you to do this." And I said, "If the family has asked you to do this, go away, find them that information, take it back to them quietly and discreetly, and don't publicise it." Like, this is data protection problems. I don't care what the newspaper have done. These people are very fragile. They're also now very frightened because the media and the public have kind of invaded this space that's normally a peaceful, quiet home. And I know it's meant in good intention, but they have lost their privacy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're being hounded for information, even to a point where children are being questioned in the local park. You know, where are you from? What country are you from? What language do you speak? Who are you? Where did you live? And friends of friends. And this all really needs to stop. The
press put somebody as a survivor in the hotel.
Yes.
Which is
I'm
despicable.
Aware of that. It's morally wrong.
Yeah.
That's all I can say, is it's morally wrong. And what we need the listeners to do and to spread the word is that if you're not directly coordinating through one of the recognised groups, if you're not affiliated to a direct worker, a direct coordinator directly, and you've spoken them to their face, or you've spoken to them on the phone, because our staff and the team behind me will make a call, they'll make a Facebook or talk to you on the phone or do a live video, so you've seen the human and you have direct contact. It's not, oh, I know someone who knows someone who knows someone. It's direct. I know that when someone comes to me in my DM, because they saw the face, the shiny wrapping, and they say, oh, I can, for example, we had one lady, she approached me about the Afghan family, and she said, I'm a social worker, can you contact me? So and she said, I have experience with benefit entitlements for families as a social worker, can you contact me? My response is not, I'm not qualified to deal with her and to know what her discussion will be. I will just literally put a link, I will copy and paste her message. I say, give me the details. I will copy and paste it to the correct coordinator that can deal with this, that needs this work. Link them in a joint message in Facebook, introduce them and say, this is so-and-so, this is what she can do, this is so-and-so, this is the coordinator, the direct coordinator for the family, so they know that they've got a direct link. And then I say, excuse me now, I'm going to leave the conversation for the family's privacy. And let them talk directly. It's not my business to be involved in every conversation, but I can make the connections.
And you're very much like that on your donations as well. When you were trying to raise 15 crepe makers, I think it was, at the end you said that you wasn't going to stop it because you could give them to other groups, helping other sets of families, so that everybody can get
That's
more.
Still going on. That's still ongoing. If people want to donate, that's still ongoing. Once the crepe makers are done, we'll start putting those funds towards the mini fridges. That's what I want to do with it. And I'm quite lucky that I'm not shy and wishy-washy, and I will always say no. We actually had a coordinator yesterday who doesn't have a phone, and I said, well, we need to donate one of these phones to the coordinator. It's really important that she has contact. And she was so humble. She said, no, it's my birthday in a couple of weeks. I can't possibly take one. I said, well, actually, we need you to take it. When you've had your birthday in a couple of weeks, then you can redonate it. we've got phones coming in, and she wouldn't accept it. Bless her, she wouldn't accept it. She said, no, I'm okay, I can manage. But it's just that kind of, that humbling kind of thing from our team. And our team are not all rich, well-to-do, haven't got anything better to do. A lot of these coordinators and volunteers are people with their own illnesses, with their own families, with their own problems. We even have somebody who's been in a fire as a victim themselves. And I don't like the word victim. I tend to say warriors, because all these people are fighting every day now. And also, one of the coordinators said yesterday, she's not using the word on the ground anymore because it's disrespectful. It's Grenfell. We're at Grenfell, not we're on the ground. Because we've been saying, oh, we're on the ground. We've got people on the ground. And we're not saying this anymore, because actually on the ground is dirt. And what this is the Grenfell community. You know, and I did have one thing I haven't had time to do that maybe somebody out there can help me with, or help us with. I was asked to do, I don't know if you've seen the petition that I did. I petitioned Theresa May and 36 named MPs to change the law. I want a bill introduced that changes the health and safety laws regarding fire for all residential homes in the UK, not just blocks, whereby homes have to have smoke alarms. I know we're supposed to, but they don't all. There are houses without them. There are tower blocks that need to have hoses above the 10th floor, because above the 10th floor we can't put out fires. We've just seen that demonstrated. That's a clear fact. We don't have facilities to do that. So therefore, every single block needs to have hose reels on those floors. The same as they have this in hospitals, they have this in commercial buildings. We need this as a law in residential buildings, so this doesn't happen again. We need families that are at risk to be given fire extinguishers, because the people that don't have the money to buy them are in the housing that are at most risk.
I think they should also have, you can get these like oxygen aerosols with a mask on it. So in an emergency, if you need to get down the stairs, you've got that to buy you a bit of time to get out the building. They're simple things that, you know, will save lives if ever it happens again.
Another big problem we have at the moment, and this was purely from somebody who contacted me regarding the petition, we found that a building I had a direct message. So again, it's not hearsay. I had a direct message with an address in N15. And she told me she was upstairs on the 16th floor of her building. She gave me the name, and she told me that she'd been down to check her fire exit, and it was locked from the outside. This is a local council building block. It was locked from the outside. Now, the only person that could have locked that from the outside is a member of staff.
That's got
it's been locked. Legal. So what I said is, I went, and I didn't have the information. I just knew I wanted it open. It was dangerous, and I wanted it open as quickly as possible. I went back to my team, and I said, look, what do we do? They said, speak to legal. We have a very, very good team of solicitors, lawyers behind me. I have a direct contact to the coordinator for all of the legal team. So she said, I spoke to her directly, and she said, you need to get this as a 999, get the fire brigade out to crop the locks. They need this unlocked immediately. It's actually an emergency because it's a risk. So then what we did is we did a public video, and I urged people to check their buildings. Everyone out there that hasn't checked their buildings now, they need to go and check their fire exits. You need to have someone once a week go and check that fire exit and make sure it's open and clear, nothing outside of it, make sure it remains unlocked. Check your community smoke alarms. If somebody doesn't check them, ring the council and keep ringing them and say they haven't been checked. I want to see the sheet to say it's been checked. I want to see the safety report. I want to see the new risk reports for my building. They need to badger their councils and say, where are the new risk reports? Where are the new risk assessments? We want to see them. Unless they demand them, they're not going to happen. Brighton and Hove Council assessed their buildings for risk assessment within a week of this fire. They assured their tenants by doing a risk assessment on their buildings. Why haven't we done that? This is a direct question for my government and a direct question for my council boroughs. Why have you not done risk assessments on all of your blocks? You know, it quite clearly needs doing. Without the risk assessment, how can you assess need and then implement changes? It's ridiculous. But there is something really serious I want to talk about, and maybe it's something that people know about, maybe it's something it's not. It came to my attention yesterday, and I have first-hand read the information on the document myself. The filling used in insulating the building and insulating other buildings across the UK. I don't know if it's just London or UK. I don't know. I don't have that information, but I can come back to you at a later time with it. The report from the company who provide this material, the initial, not the company who fitted it, not the company who filled it. I've seen the report, the data report, and it states very clearly in black and white two things that are highly concerning. The first one is that the material is logged and registered as highly combustible. Okay, this is a real failing, that anyone would produce a product that's highly combustible and then authorize it for use in buildings. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So we need accountability for that. Somebody needs to be accountable for not checking that data, for authorising its use, for importing it and putting it in. It's not just one person. People are blaming the company who put the plastic cladding on. But the insulation is a huge problem, and this is why. The second point of this document is, and this is so important, I want people to understand this, because I watched this live from Morocco, and I couldn't understand why I could see three big hoses, but the fire wasn't going out. And the next day we still see fire. And those poor firefighters are in this fire, this immense heat, fighting fire, without any prior knowledge to this product. They don't know about this product, so they don't know. But this product also says that you cannot use water on this product. The use of water will spread it and accelerate the fire.
Yeah, it will spread the fire, which that document, when Grenfell, yes I have, because when it first happened, Grampy and Top, who's Stephen Stevenson, who I know talks to you, he does a show here too, and they pretty much straight away got on to investigating the cladding, and Top found that they deleted access to the PDF, but somebody else found it somewhere else, and we managed to get hold of it, and it is very clear in black and white. And in my video where I'm talking about people not wanting them to have luxury apartments, I mention it, that it spread because water was used. But what would a fireman use if they turn up at a fire like that and they don't know any different? It's damning that was ever used.
Yes, and that explains now why those firemen had such an awful job putting the fire out. You know, they couldn't fight the fire. They are fighting fire with potential fire. If you're spreading the fire, you're fighting fire with fire. And that saying of fighting fire with fire, that just rung true to me, because how can you put out a fire with something that's spreading fire, and it's spreading highly combustible materials? And the other really strong point that I want to make about this document, that really, I'm a therapist by trade, and so health and fitness has been my passion for the last 17 years. The thing that really concerns me, and I want to address an interview that was made earlier this week. There was a meeting down on site where forgive me for not knowing the names. There was a representative from the NHS who claimed, and I'm going to say claims because I haven't seen any evidence, who claims to be a doctor. She didn't specify what she was a doctor of, but she said she was there because she was an expert in environment and pollution. This was her stance, and she said she was a doctor. Now, I tried to have somebody ask at the time, a doctor of what? What is your field? Because for all I know, she's a podiatrist or an obstetrician who's just gone and got this job for admin. I don't know. I would like to know what her specific job is and what she's a doctor of, because she refused to answer a couple of questions. So she stated, and you can watch the video back, she stated that there was no reason to believe that there would be any future health implications because of smoke inhalation. It was just smoke, and they'd monitored the atmosphere and there was no pollution. And what I wanted to know was, I want us to be able to see the reports. I want us to visibly see the reports from the water, the testing of the water that she claimed. I want to see those reports. The testing of the atmosphere, I want to see those reports. I want to know why they monitored the water and the air and not humans.
That same leaflet says that it causes hallucinations and may feel faint, and it could have made the smoke from that cladding could have made people hallucinate and pass out. It says that in that leaflet.
Yes, but not only that, it also says it can affect fertility and cause serious organ problems later on in the future. excuse me. So my question to that woman was, I want to see, we would really like to see blood works from these people, or not us to see them, we would like the families to have blood work and for them to have a reassurance. Those that have breathed in this smoke, when we say smoke, they breathed in smoke. What we need to think about is they haven't just breathed in smoke. It's not like somebody's had a cigarette or they've breathed in a bonfire. They've inhaled toxic fumes. They've inhaled highly combustible materials that have been dispersed by water.
Yeah.
Everyone that's come out of that building has been exposed to highly combustible material with severe health implications. At the moment, their adrenaline is up because they're in shock. That's going to go on until they come out of limbo. Adrenaline is going to affect their body and their body chemistry, their blood chemistry, the way that their hormones are produced, the way that the adrenal glands function, the way that the kidneys are processing toxins. All of these things need monitoring. These people should have been given blood work. They should have each had a little blood test. Check their levels, check their biochemistry, show them that they're okay. And if they're not, treat them. Not just treat the ones who've got serious injuries and rush them into hospital as a 999. Actually have a clinic open now, privately, and let them go in and be checked. Check their blood pressure, check their pulse, check their lungs, check their airways, do a routine blood test, check their platelets and make sure they're not anemic. Without checking these people, how can they assess them and say, well, there's going to be no future health implications? That's an absolute lie. I'm sorry to call it as it is, but she's lied. She can't possibly have enough information on each person to say that it will not affect them in the future. This is an untruth.
That needs to be monitored for a lifetime, really, as well. When you look at the effects of asbestos and things like that, they're not instant. They happen over time.
No.
But just near me, we had an Alcoa factory, and it closed down. They're like who made the cladding, like the aluminium.
Did it close down or was it closed down?
I think they closed it down. But
the company?
Yeah, when they closed it down and the land was being sold and they couldn't put food on it because like Asda wanted to go there, but the ground was so contaminated. I mean, they spent about 3 years just digging it out and replacing the ground. So
is that documented?
Yeah.
Can we get hold of that? Can we get copies of that?
Yeah, I'll try and get you some copies of that.
The reason I'm asking for that to see that is that would mean that this building, when it comes down, I'm assuming that people are going to want it to come down.
Yeah.
Because it's not actually, now we know it's got those chemicals inside it, now we know that those products are inside it, it would need to be rebuilt, surely.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm asking if we can see those documents about the ground is I'm wondering, as we haven't had this experience before, this hasn't happened to a building before, we don't know if this land is also contaminated.
Yeah.
You see, so if it is contaminated, it won't be possible to rebuild on it.
No.
I'm sure the council will want to clear it and put something nice and shiny up there because of the location. However, if you can show that this ground is contaminated, that will prevent that.
Yeah.
So that would be something that I would be looking at, as well as when that comes down, is looking at the contamination or the polluting of that land and how long it's going to take to recover. I know lots of people are asking for different things to be put there, but one of the things I was asked to do, the task I was asked to do that I haven't had time for, was to do another petition to the government. The petition I did was changing the laws for fire safety, but I actually managed to research as many MPs as I could. I think it was 34 or 36 MPs. And I'm dyslexic, so it's quite difficult for me to do lots of reading and writing and type names. So I found them and I actually petitioned them with their name in the petition, along with Theresa May.
Yeah.
And so we need a petition. I've been requested to do a permission to turn this into a memorial site. People from what the families coordinators are telling me. This isn't from the public, because it doesn't matter what the public want.
No.
It matters what the family members want, because that's their family that have died there. It's their family that have lived there. It's their family that will always be remembered there. And if what they're asking for, and this needs to be double checked at the time, if they really are truly wanting this to be a memorial site, then that petition needs to be made. But it needs to be done in a way, not like my little, 20-minute, no experience, bung it together, just a load of waffle. We need somebody really, really well-to-do, who knows everything about petitions, who will come forward and help us with that. But at the moment, I need to get back to UK tomorrow. I'm flying tomorrow. Wednesday I will be on site, meeting with coordinators and handing over to the things you've seen me buying, and the money that I have for the student's laptop, and the things that I have personally are going directly to the coordinators, who, while I'm on site, will take them to the families. Maybe I'll go and drive for them. I won't go and meet with the families. I don't want to push them to meet another strange face that they don't know and they haven't met, because they're very, very displaced, and there's a lot of deception going on the ground. They are feeling very vulnerable for several reasons. So they have been, and I don't know if you're aware of this one as well, the families that have been moved into this temporary accommodation, they are in what I would call budget hotels or basic rooms. Mostly there's a lot of overcrowding, lots of families in one room, a lot of just bed and breakfast and tucked out after breakfast. You've seen on the TV these community halls with sleeping bags on the floor. I've not seen those sleeping bags full. I've only seen them empty on the floor for what looks to me like show. I haven't seen anybody accommodating a huge room full of sleeping bags. I can't say I've seen that. I'd be interested to know if anyone else has seen anybody sleeping there, because I haven't. I've only heard first-hand from coordinators who are working with families that are in overcrowded single rooms with no kitchen facilities, and without donations of food and water other than what the coordinators themselves are taking from our donations. And a big thing that I put to the team this week, and they were some things that I say, the team behind me will poo-hoo, and they'll say, oh no, you can't say that and you can't do this because we haven't seen that. So I physically saw on another group with my own eyes, and I've screenshotted it. I saw a group that are calling on a regular basis for 30 to 40 volunteers daily to load Arctic lorries, and this is from community centres. So I looked again, and I looked at an hour and a half later, and 30 or 40 people an hour and a half later to unload Arctic lorries at a name called Depot. So I looked at the postcode, looked where it is, and it appears to me, and I could be wrong, this is my opinion, not my team's opinion, and I've challenged them to find out. I want to know what's going on. I want to know why 2 Arctic lorries on a regular basis are going in and having 30 or 40 volunteers, filling them up with what I can only presume is not tables and chairs from community centres, and then driving and unloading them at depots. Why is it not that the depots are loading the lorries with donations and water and food and things that have been collected, and returning with them to the centres and dropping them off? You see, and being dispersed to families. Yeah. I want to know why there appears to be a reverse, that the places where the donations have been given are being loaded and it's being offloaded in depots. This to me makes no logical sense whatsoever, and it would explain why the families are saying, we haven't received this. They're telling us they haven't received the things that's being shown on the television. The stockpiles of clothing and shoes and water and food and all these donations, these kind gifts, haven't been getting through.
It's sad that it's nice that people came together and they've all done these donations, but the authorities have just been, they should be ashamed. They've done nothing.
Well, now I might get told off for my next mention. My team might actually say, oh, you can't say that, we told you can't say that. But what they're going to do, send someone to Morocco to sort me out. So I've become aware of over the last few days, and the first clue I had was a newspaper post that published something, and I did a little bit of research with the team and did a bit of the super sleuth. But I read a report that said that the families had been threatened with losing their children if they didn't accept the accommodation that was offered to them. So I did a little bit of research, and I asked certain coordinators, without saying what I was doing, where are your families? Have they been rehoused, been offered housing? Have you been offered, temporary accommodation, and they've refused? And I got to the truth with one particular family. So I can only speak on behalf of this being truth for one family, because I don't know if it's truth for all families. And I want clarity. I want things I say to be truthful, for people to know the truth. This particular family are in one room again, and the accommodation they've been offered is hostels. So we're talking about, if you're in London and you know the hostels, you know the type of people that go to hostels. You see them on the street asking for 20p at 2 o'clock in the morning with shakes. We have predominantly a huge problem in hostels with theft and robbery and knife crime and drug addiction and alcoholism. We have these people that go in at night and come out in the day and are on the streets in the day. And this is a hostel. This is what a hostel is really like. It's not as pretty as people think. So to actually try and accommodate families who have just lost everything, who are grieving loved ones, who are in limbo, got people classified as missing, to actually go and put these vulnerable families with their children in a hostel is totally unacceptable. To then go and threaten the families, well, if you don't accept the accommodation, we can take your kids away from you. Social services can take your kids away. You have to accept the accommodation. This is totally unacceptable. To have people having their children, threatened to have their children taken away because they are refusing to take hostel accommodation is wholly unacceptable. What we need now is we need the local councils, and I don't mind if I'm going to get told off for this, we need the local councils to man the hell up. They need to get off their backsides, and they need to spend tomorrow morning or this afternoon and the rest of this week, put down your parking wardens, put down your council tax fines, put down all your glorified paperwork that brings you in money for yourselves and your salary, and go out there on your feet, pick up a newspaper, look through the accommodation and find these families homes. And if you put them in those private rents for us and not us, and you pay their rents, they haven't lost their ability to have their social housing. Put them in their social housing afterwards, but right now, these councils need to be in the newspapers, finding private rents and housing them. If they're saying that they don't have council houses available and we can only put them in a hostel, then find them private accommodation. It's the council that has predominantly caused this problem. Obviously, we know that this building was erected many, many years ago. We know that it was reviewed in the 70s. There's a video going around now where a comment was made about fire safety. Although that's shown in the context that it's relevant to this cladding in this building, we know the building was refurbished last year. So that's not really relevant, even though it is really it's quite an impact to see that. Have you seen the video, the 1984 video?
No, I haven't. I'll have a look.
Okay, there's a video floating around with politicians in 1984 discussing this building and the fire safety risks about this building. And this is in 1984. It's floating around. Logically, for me, I just think of it as, well, okay, whatever they were using the materials at that time during the refurbishment have probably been removed or replaced. However, there's always been fire concerns about this building. So the fact that the council have had these warnings since at least 1984, and we don't have access to any risk assessment forms since 1984, we haven't seen them. If the council can prove that they've every year done a risk assessment and done all they can and they can prove they didn't know these products were there and they didn't know everything was dodgy, if they can prove that, then fine, they'd have no liability. But I don't think that's the case. I think they are liable. I'm fairly sure that the legal team that we have behind us that are dealing with this know that they are liable. But there's a huge liability from the person the company who's produced the materials, the person who's authorised the use, the fact that it's been used in public housing, the fact that there's been no risk assessments over years, the fact that there's only one fire escape on a massive building like this, the fact that the fire escape has got pipes in it that shouldn't be in there, the fact that there's no hoses above 10 stories. All these things factor into this horrible disaster. But what they need to do now is stop looking at the blame, because you can deal with that later. What they need to do is house the families. House the families. If they're unfurnished, give them their emergency funding to get white goods, or we can help with the funding. We can house these houses out really quickly because we have donations from New Zealand, from Australia, from the USA, from Nigeria, from Morocco. We have donations. They're coming in globally. To me personally, I've had global donations from large sums to cover a laptop, to little sums for 4 Qurans, to donations for core textbooks for students, for donations for time, second-hand mobile phones. Little donations to big donations are coming in from across the world. When I have people sending me messages, sending their love from New Zealand, and my own government are sitting idle, from what I see visibly, doesn't mean that they're sitting idle physically. Maybe they're talking politics, and a lot of politics and arguments and blame, and probably covering their backsides legally. What they really need to do forward is house these people. This is the priority. House them first.
See, I'm very much of the thinking that, it's the same like when they had the Justice for Grenfell March, which I did see because I went there.
It's not going to help them.
Well, if you want justice for Grenfell, when you're marching, that's what you're doing. You've got pictures of the missing, you're talking about Grenfell. You're not shouting, oh, Jeremy Corbyn, which has nothing to do with... Yes, we need political reform, and this is a political issue, but the moment now is the victims and helping the victims.
Well, they need peace.
Yeah.
So as much as I would argue that the reason people are marching and get involved is they're trying to voice their opinions and they don't know how to. This is the only way they know how to express themselves and their anger and their upset and show the families they're responding to them. But what the families need, what the families require is time and quiet and peace and privacy. They don't want this. They don't want trouble. They're very humble families. What they do need is housing. So my suggestion would be, and again, it's only a suggestion, maybe I'm totally wrong and I'll get shot down when I put the phone down. I would suggest that it would be more appropriate for each person to use their voice in a written form that is accountable. It has a paper chain. Don't phone. Don't use electronics. Sit down and write. You can do email because you can keep a copy of this. Write down your name, your address. Write down who you are. Write down what you want your council to do for these families. If every person writes to the housing officer of the local borough council, they have to open those letters. They have to open those emails. You have to ask, I'm waiting for your response.
Yeah.
Chase it up 2 days later. If you didn't get a reply 2 days later, chase it up. Send them another one. Keep sending them. When these MPs and these government officials and council members have 1 million emails to open every day, it's going to be a lot harder to do their jobs of collecting parking fines and council tax and all the little things that they complain about. You know, how much money is... This is just an example. I'm quite a visual kind of person. I like to do visuals.
Yeah.
How many of us have ever seen a motorway with about 500 to 600 cones up the motorway, maybe 2 or 3 people doing a work or at the side of the road, and there's no one to be seen? There's rows and rows and rows of cones.
Yeah.
Who's paid to put those cones out? This is public highway. This is public money. This is our council tax, our car tax. I know they have to maintain roads. There's a lot of waste using up budgets.
Right, you get more. You have to spend it all, otherwise you don't get more next year.
But so now they need to look at what's going to be excess at the end of the year. Okay, so we're going to have a couple of billion excess at the end of the year. We usually waste it on road cones, or we usually, waste it on bonus and the Christmas party. Use that money now. They know what's going to be used up at the end of the year. They know come April they're going to have so much left over. Okay, withdraw it now. Go rent the houses. Go rent the houses for 1 year. 1 year is plenty of time for them to have a bit of security, have the therapy they need, because a lot of these people, we've got loads and loads of volunteer therapists. Unfortunately, they're not being utilised, and it's not because they're not educated, and it's not because they're not qualified. It's because right now, the families don't want it. They're not asking for it. They need time to get over shock first. How can you... And this is as a therapist, having been through clients like this myself. I was a therapist for the MOD for quite a while. Quite often you see people after trauma are, I'm okay. They put up this, I'm okay, I've survived, I'm alright. And after this is going to be the whole guilt. Well, I'm alive and somebody else isn't. Then they're going to have the anger. Well, why has this happened? Then at some point they're going to have greed and they're going to start blaming people. And then they're going to have acceptance that they're never going to have closure, but they will accept that it's happened. And it's only when we have acceptance that people will begin to accept the help that they need, because they'll accept that they need it. Until then, we have to have a huge mental health team observing, quietly, befriending, gaining trust, to be there if there is a crisis and that person doesn't know that they need care and is at risk, to step in and refer where need be. So in the future, there's going to be a huge need for therapy. And we're not just talking about the survivors. I'm going to call them warriors. We're not just talking about the immediate warriors. We're talking about their children, their children's friends, the local community who have lost brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, friends, childhood friends, people they've grown up with and their parents have died or are classified missing. Those people all need something. They need, and it's not a strong mental health hold, but they need a team on the ground. What we need to have down there is they need to have a community mental health team and a designated clinic for drop-in. If somebody wants to go and have 15-minute massage or reflexology or Indian head, or they want to speak to a psychotherapist, they want a child psychologist, they want art therapy, music therapy, we need somewhere down there that is a designated space for them to go if they want. And this is for the community, you know, not just for the towers, but for the wider community. And this is almost like a prevention. And then the other thing that's needed for the children desperately, the children need that nursery up and running. So you're aware the nursery project's going on.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, if you want to recap on it.
Yes. Thank you for your donations for the children's items that will be going over there shortly. Now we have down there on site a private lockup. So this is one of the problems we found, is that donations going into storage haven't been getting it where it wants to. So one of our own team privately rented some storage space for 6 months off her own back. So she's got the keys. She's got this locked away nicely. Anything that we take in is separate, so we know where it is. There is a lot of stuff ready for nursery. Now, I'm not sure, but I can come back to you later with this information. I'm not sure if they have secured a building or space for this, or whether they're still looking for, and possibly may need more than one place to have creche and nursery facilities going on. This is very important. But the most concerning thing for me at the moment is the pressure that these staff are under and these volunteers are under. Everyone is kind of on tenterhooks now, feeling like, because there's been a clampdown in resources, because there's been a huge underhand, if I call it an underhand, we have had people coming in and pretending they're doing good and reporting back to the local council or to here, there and everywhere. You have people reporting to the media, you know, sneakily telling stories. You have people coming in and saying they're trained therapists and they're not, so you have to check all their qualifications. So the teams themselves are actually feeling under a lot of pressure, and they may well need services themselves. You know, they may have a need themselves for what they're dealing with the family, someone to vent down to. But initially, their biggest concern, from the feedback I've had today, their biggest concern is about the families being housed, the threat of the families losing their children, and the loss of resources, the things that have vanished, and the security of their donations. If anybody has, again, security storage, you know, if we can get people to perhaps rent other places as well, or help with the renting of other lockups where we can actually make sure stuff is stored, because now we're trying to get enough things together for these families to have furniture. You know, maybe we can get some sponsors from IKEA or other home improvement places that can, you know, donate end of season stock or something. You know, when they replace stock at the end of the season, they take it all off, you know, and it's sold off for cheap, it's sold off as half price. Maybe we could get some of those donations sent over, but we'd need storage for them. You know, until these people are homed, we need storage for things.
If anybody wants to help you with the things that you're buying, how can they contact you?
They can just directly get me on Facebook. If you see my video, you can email me at Nikki Del Gallo, NIKKIDELGALLO @iCloud.com. That comes immediately to my phone as long as I have service. And in Morocco, sometimes it does go off. You can get me on Facebook, direct message me. I have a horde of messages. It may take a little time to me reply, but I do reply personally. There's no one taking my phone. I will personally reply to you, and it's the easiest way for me to connect people, because all of our team are on my list. If it's through Facebook, I can directly connect you to the right people. But I will say, if it's donating time or therapy or treatments or mental health, I will directly be asking to see public liability insurance. I will be challenging people who say, "Oh, I'm a massage therapist. I want to see your qualifications," because I'm not going to waste the team's time sending people to them who are not qualified and not insured, because we've had this already and it's time consuming. So really, if we could just have, you know, qualified people to offer treatments, great. If we could have people who do pet therapy, art therapy, talking therapies, all these things, to build a database of these staff that may not necessarily be used immediately. Maybe we need them in the future, because this healing process is going to be over a 6-month period. I would hazard a guess that over the next few weeks we would need to have some emergency numbers on standby for therapists that can deal with crisis situations, when people begin to hit rock bottom and the shock wears off and the emotional feelings return. You know, but I think that the biggest thing that we can do right now is pressure our local councils personally with the emails and letters, or go and visit them and sit in the queue, take your ticket and sit in the queue, and speak to someone. Take up their time. Take up their time until they rehouse them.
There's a lady in chat, and she's in America, and she's stayed up ages to listen to you because she likes your video. But she's an artist, I believe.
Okay. Is she listening now?
Yes, I believe she.
What's her name?
Her name's Widow Crip in chat.
Say again?
Widow Crypt is what name she's using in chat, but I can't remember.
Good morning, Widow Crypt. Good evening, Widow Crypt.
And she would like to get a group of artists together to work with creating memorials for the families that they want, that they design.
Okay, I can put that forward. It may not be immediate.
No, but eventually.
Later on. Yes, because at the moment a lot of people are registered as missing.
Yes.
And not deceased.
Yes.
So it's
How many?
I would be really interested to speak to her as well, because I actually had I love art. I love art and touchy-feely stuff, and I'm a bit just out there. I like what I see, which is why you see my videos with sunsets sometimes. And
she says she'll send you a message via Facebook.
Lovely, perfect. Did you see my video with the small buildings that were corrugated iron roofs in front of the mosque?
No, I didn't. I see you on the roof with the washing line.
Yes, well, if you watch that video again and look downwards, you will see the buildings. I'm looking at them now. They have, on these roofs, there's corrugated iron on the roofs, and they're held in place with things like tyres, rocks. There's all sorts of different things. I'm just going to do a shout out to Hamza. Hamza is my right hand man. Everywhere I go shopping, I'm on the back of his bike. So he's, I started a company out here, and I haven't mentioned it or what we're doing ourselves, because as much as I want to promote other people and what they're doing, what they're donating, it seems like a conflict of interests. But he's actually one of my employees, and he takes me everywhere on his little bike. So we go down through the Medinas, and he's worked more than his hours. He's part-time and a university student. So he has worked so many hours, and I haven't thanked him. So I'm going to thank him now, because he'll listen back to this. When I say to him, listen to this. Hamza, thank you so much. Shukran. He's been an absolute star, and he, bless him, he hasn't complained. He sometimes had a bit of a face on, and I've had to teach him what the phrase, "God, you look like you're chewing a wasp." He's had to learn what that means. Because sometimes, we're kind of getting 3 hours sleep, and I forget that even though I'm getting 3 hours sleep, his home's like 20 minutes away. So he's probably getting 2 or 3 hours sleep, and I'm getting an extra half an hour. So I think he's pretty exhausted. And we've been fasting as well. It's Ramadan, so we've done a whole month of fasting. And these last 12 days, we haven't stopped fasting. We've still been fasting, and the temperatures have been about 37. So it's been quite hard to do. Back to the lady with the art. The reason I would love to hook up with her is, out here, I bought some artwork, and I'm assuming, I could be wrong, that there's a huge Islamic community within this building. From the families that I've spoken to, the coordinators, a lot of Muslims in the building. And here, I bought a picture. It's like calligraphy. It's Arabic calligraphy, and the calligraphy is put in with passages from the Quran are written into calligraphy in beautiful colours and pictures. But I've seen them. I bought one. It's the shape of a heart. I'll put a picture up later. What came to mind visually when I was thinking about, what are they going to do? And I saw all the hearts and all the pictures of the building, and I just thought, what I would really love to see is a picture of this building, with the different faiths wording verses from the Quran or the Bible or whatever faiths were in there.
Yeah. In
this calligraphy design. For me personally, to be able to hand over something like that to the families, just because the unity down there, and as much as I've been grumbling about the government, and I'm grumbling about the council, and I'm grumbling about the failings, the community and those that are listening or share this, thank you so much. Thank you so much for not fighting. Thank you so much for not doing anything negative. Thank you so much for your donations and the love you're showing and the compassion you're showing. Even if you don't feel like you've been appreciated, even if you don't feel that you've had thanks, like, it's not that you're not thanked, it means that it's silent. Like, everyone is very grateful, everyone is very appreciative, especially the staff on the ground. You know, they are doing so much. Personally, me, I get to go shopping on a daily basis. I get to go to Western Union, collect money, jump on the bike, drive around in the sunshine, and do the shopping. And in my heart, it's sad because I'm choosing things that I know where they're going, and I'm actually dreading tomorrow and arriving. I've had a bit of a cry today, but the team are dealing with it. They're actually they've spent 12 days on site. They've spent 12 days there in this environment. I haven't witnessed this yet. You know, these people are there. My team back there, it's not even my team, the team that I'm a part of, a little tiny part of. These people have been there since day one, actively, physically, emotionally, financially invested in trying to help these families. And
so
well
how
done,
many
you.
people?
Well done, every single one of you.
How many people are missing?
I don't have those exact figures. So I can't
No.
guesstimate. You know, somebody would shoot me down and rip this interview apart and say, oh, she said this and it's not
Yeah.
true, and she's based all her videos on truth and honesty, and I don't have those figures.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Me personally, as Nicolette, not as representing the group, I'm looking at figures of small handfuls of families that are in accommodation, not huge numbers. I'm looking at small family groups that are in accommodation, small numbers of public figures of people that are in hospital, small numbers that may have been on holiday for Ramadan, but I'm also looking at large numbers of families that would have had visitors for Ramadan that people may not even know they were there.
Yeah.
We're looking at 120 flats that have been posted as 538 residents, I believe.
Yeah, about that.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's true because I haven't seen it on an official document from the Housing Association.
Well, I think the council have held that back, haven't they? They've not released a tenants list, and it doesn't matter who's asked for it. You're not getting official numbers on how many people lived in that flat.
We've also got there as well from something that I've heard personally, not through the group. This is through somebody who's grown up in this area, had a friend in the building. The friend's father has passed. The friend has survived, and I think there's a sibling. The building, from what I've been told, may or may not be true, may or may not be clarified. Other people may come forward and say this. May have had also refugees or people without right to rent in it, staying with friends or staying in empty places. I don't know how true that is. So again, we don't know how many people were in that building. And I assume this is why it's taking so long for those figures to come forward. Because imagine if they come forward and release a number of figures and then it's incorrect. Maybe they find an extra 10 people, or they find somebody's been on holiday and comes back and says, well, we're okay. We didn't know we were in Timbuktu. You know, you may find, and this is talking on behalf of the Moroccan families, because I'm here, I see how the families commune for Ramadan. You may find that the Moroccan families had relatives with them, friends from other cities, that maybe their families think, or their neighbours think they've gone on holiday abroad and don't know they were there. We really don't know how many people were in that building. The only thing I can think of logically that could maybe assess that is, locally, is there CCTV in this area?
There should be.
Do we know? Okay, so if somebody were to review that CCTV, and I'm talking about CCTV in shops, clubs, whatever's in that environment, whatever's in that area, police cameras, speed cameras, they must have somewhere footage that can kind of count up the people going in and out of that area in the days before, to get a rough figure of the people that are going in and out of that particular place. You know, there must be people who, for example, what would we have? The local Western Union. So if people were there that don't have tenancies, and they're not British, and they've come from other places as refugees, for example, they may receive money from Western Union. They may send money from Western Union. Western Union will hold all that data.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to get rid of it. You have to, and I use Western Union, so I know firsthand. When someone sends me money, they get a receipt. If they send it online, they get a receipt. If they go in the shop and do it, they get a receipt. When I collect that money, I'm given a little document. Western Union keeps a copy. So Western Union in that area will be very aware of any local people that were sending and receiving money that may not be British. And I'm saying sending and receiving, not British, because that's kind of the route we use when we move money abroad, because it's easy.
Yeah, they don't.
And things like a mobile.
Like a mobile. My sister married an Albanian. Like a mobile, Western Union, used regularly by these people.
Like a mobile may be able to help with numbers, because when you take out a mobile phone, you have to give them an address.
Yeah.
So like my mobile, if they want to really find these figures, they need to start doing investigative reports. We've got people in the team investigating all sorts of things and checking that facts are correct before they're mentioned. We have some little super sleuths, even to a point of checking out other group members, even to checking out other groups that are posting in our pages, even to being given data. Guaranteed, if you're contacting us, one of our team is going to check your Facebook. The first place they're going to do is check your Facebook and your LinkedIn and get some data on you, and check with your friends that you're a real human being, that they know you, that someone in your friends list actually knows you. Because if you've got no profile picture and you've got no visible public data and your friend list looks a bit dodgy, they're not going to entertain engaging with you professionally. We need transparency and we need accountability in all levels. We can't risk putting someone down there delivering little gifts or clothes or shoes to families and getting close to them that really turn out to be dodgy people. Media wanting to crop a story, or some weirdo who wants to put themselves in. We also have to be aware that there are fakes. There are people down there who are saying that homeless and they lived in the block that didn't.
Yeah.
And the thing that's going to make that worse is when you've got public lists available with names and addresses on, they can go in and take that identity. I don't know. Passport agency should have a list of visas registered at that address. Visas should be no problem for tenants who have come from other countries. Passports, although not everybody has a passport agency would know who does. They could confirm details. Driving licence, DVLA, have a list of people registered at that address. Car tax, registered address. MOTs, registered address. Sky TV, registered address. British Telecom, all these companies will have the names of people in these buildings, and even if they've got the wrong data, maybe it was the previous tenant, at least they can clarify that. So there are ways they can start assessing how many people are in there. It's just a matter of, prioritising their jobs. The council could go through their council tax list, their electoral roll, their benefit claims. They could very easily count up those low
inland revenue,
quite
tax credits, all of that lot.
Yes. Yes. Which may be why they're taking so long. Yes, school records, dental records, doctors. It may be that they're doing all that, and we have to remember and respect that actually, even though we're complaining that they haven't done it, they may be doing it, and that's all confidential data that can't be given to us.
Yeah.
You see, that is all confidential. And also remember that, imagine a whole family is missing. They then have to trace the next of kin, which may not be very easy. If it's not British nationals, that may not be easy.
No.
To trace the next of kin before you can legally, publicly say that they're not there.
Well, you don't really want to be reading about it, if it's your loved one, you don't want to be reading about it on some headline in some newspaper.
Yeah.
You want to be told personally and privately before the world knows.
Yes. Well, here, the news didn't cover this until 3 days ago. So people here that I was talking to about what happened and why I was collecting the goods, they had no idea what had happened. None whatsoever. And from what I gather, there may have been up to as many as 42 Moroccan families in that block. I don't have correct figures. I only have hearsay from a video that I saw online that stated the number 40. There was a Moroccan local who said he knew that there were 42 Moroccan families inside that building. Now, I'm only aware of around 15 that are being cared for in the community. That's a big discrepancy in numbers.
It is.
There's a huge discrepancy in numbers. And that's just families. That's not taking into account visitors or how many people are in each family. 42 is still a big number, and that's families. I don't know. I would be interested to know if that's correct, if anybody has those figures. Just because I'm here and I'm close to this area, one of the locals here did tell me, and it's somebody that I trust, who is actually one of my resources, who's also, and it says, let me see what this says. this may be in relation to. I haven't read it through. I can't read the whole chain of messages. I believe from what I've just seen that it's in relation to the story of the baby that was reportedly found yesterday.
Oh yeah, I thought that was probably rubbish.
So I think we can't comment on that because we're not there. That's the easiest thing to say. I'm not there. I haven't seen it. I haven't spoken to a rescuer. It's possible. We hear of people down mine shafts and in places, and maybe the parents hid the baby somewhere. We don't know. I really hope and pray that is true. I really do, for the baby's sake. And if somebody has done that as a prank, then shame on you. Let me just check the other messages. Yes, confirmation from group 538 registered missing. This is the missing number.
How many missing? 538?
538 registered missing, and it says probably more though, really. So that's not taking into account the ones that aren't registered missing.
That's a hell of a figure, isn't it?
Yeah. I've got my message from Widow Crypt. I'm going to open it shortly, and I've got one from somebody else from Finland. So I will contact you both later after the show. Just wanted to do a couple of thank yous, actually. We have had a nice donation from the USA from a group of martial artists who held an event. And this is in the USA. Yeah. They held I'm going to post their links later on in my video this evening with a thanks for the people that are donating from companies or clubs. Because when people collectively, we had Bell Farm community last week make a donation to us as well, and just to have a group of people have a coffee morning, it was a beautiful thing for a bunch of people to do, to have a coffee morning and decide to send the funds, you know, and they trusted me. They didn't ask me to prove who I was, to give my identity. They just sent me the money. They said, how do we send it to you? I told them, they sent it to me. It was there within minutes, and to just have people be so trusting and not be suspicious amongst all the rubbish that is going on. On the ground, I would be saying to people, don't give over cash to strangers. It doesn't make any sense to give strangers cash because of the amount of problems that they are having. Look for the community coordinators, ask to speak to the community coordinators, or contact people like myself. Like if you contact me, I can put you in touch with community coordinators, and you know that your money is going somewhere where it should be, and it's not going into the government's pocket somewhere. I am aware, and this is independently, this isn't from my group at all, I am aware that money in certain places that are donations, either through Just Funds Me, GoFundsMe, bank accounts, pots being shaken, may not actually be authentic. So people need to be vigilant and just do your groundwork. If you want to help, do your groundwork first to ensure that your money is really going where you want it to go. You can request which kind of community you want it to go. Even if it's a community that we're not dealing with, if you want to give it to another community, our community leaders can actually hook you and link you to another community group. So we can do that. Nursery I can hook you up with, but I don't want to talk too much about them because they've got their own team separately. And there's a lot going on for them at the moment. And legal I do want to talk about. Our legal team, I will push forward to public eye. I had an experience 2014. I had an accident at work, which is why I'm sick. I have trigeminal neuralgia, and I've been here for the climate. So I've been through a personal injury claim. I've experienced firsthand within the last 2 years a personal injury claim, and I've experienced receiving compensation. So I know the way it goes. When you have compensation claim, from the very minute that you accept the first payment, which they've done very quickly, the £500 they've claimed they've given everyone else, that may or may not be that figure, and I'm saying that because I know some families haven't received that figure, and it's been per family, not per person. From the minute you accept the first payment as the interim payment, the clock is ticking. You have only a year to 18 months to put your money in a trust fund. Now, if you put compensation in a trust fund, it becomes privately protected from tax and means testing, because this money's got to last your lifetime. Okay, but if it's not in a trust fund, it's means testable and it's taxable. To set up a trust fund is usually about £1,200. That's what I paid. It's about £1,200 or £1,300 to get a solicitor to make up a trust fund, to have your signatures done, to have your documents done. You then have to go with your trust fund papers. You have to go to the bank and open a trust fund bank account. It's quite a lengthy process. It takes about 6 weeks. Once your trust fund is established, you can put your money in there and it's not means tested. Because I saw an article this week saying they would have to count that extra money as income, the donations as income. Sorry, but if you've got a trust fund, they can't touch it. You can have your TV that's donated as part of your trust. You can have your crepe maker for $23.99 as part of your trust. You can have any money received as part of your trust. It's not means testable. They cannot wriggle out of paying you your benefits or your compensation or your other things if it's in a trust fund. Now, our legal team, and it's it's too much for me to talk about, and I'm not qualified to talk about it. I have personally a direct connection to Jen, who is in our legal team, who's heading up the contact with the solicitors and the lawyers. It's not just one legal company, they've got a group of legals that are working on this. They're specialists with every aspect of law regarding this disaster. We can hook those up easily. Anyone that's got a legal question or wants legal advice or wants help setting up a trust fund, now the team have said that these trust funds will be set up free of charge. They'll waiver that £1,200. They're going to do it for free. Okay. Now the other thing that's worrying as well is the amount of legal companies that are popping up saying they'll represent the families and they'll take them on and get them to sign documents now, when the families are actually in shock. So any contract signs now, I would argue that I would argue they would be invalid because we don't have mental competence of anyone to sign a contract. When you're in shock and grief, you cannot sign the contract that's legally signed it. And the reason I'm saying this is anyone that's signed a contract with a legal company that says they're going to take a percentage of your this is why they're helping you. They know you're going to get a massive amount of money, which equals a massive amount of percentage, even if it's 10%. There are companies out there that will represent you for a fixed fee that they claim through their expenses, and you'll receive 100% of your compensation. I know this is fact because my solicitors, which are called John Carr solicitors, they represented me for a fixed fee. He paid from his own pocket the insurance to insure the case. He worked with me without taking any payments, and he didn't take a percentage. He took his costs and a fixed fee for the insurance. That was it. There are other companies that work like that, and they don't do it for a percentage because your claim should be 100% your own. The only other thing is that when your claim is settled, any benefits you've received, be that your if you claim incapacity or income support, this is deducted from your claim at the end of your claim. So if you have 2 years worth of benefits, add up what you've had, because this will be deducted from your claim. When you think about settling, take legal advice from the team, ensure that you've got enough for your life. Take into account they're going to deduct at the point of settlement. They contact the benefits agency to see if you've claimed anything, and they deduct it from your claim. It's deducted. You're not going to get it.
Are they going to get any extra help with the likes of these people? Shouldn't be exposed to, say, ATOS, to be assessed on their mental health issues because of the trauma that they are they protected from that?
Refuse that. What happens in a legal case like this is with injury is they will have to be independently assessed. I live in Ealing, so I was sent to Harley Street for independent assessments. My accident was my eye. I was dealt with Moorfields Eye Hospital, and then I was dealt with by neurology for other problems with Charing Cross. So they were my medical team, Charing Cross Hospital and Moorfields Eye Hospital. So my solicitor had all of those medical documents in place. He had all my A&E reports. He had everything. But the company that you're claiming against will always ask for an independent report. It can't be from them. Their doctors can't examine you. They can refuse this. They say no, because you don't want them having that data. It has to be done independently, because you don't have any guarantee who that person is that they're sending to check you. We don't know who they are, so they need to just hold off. Just hold off and say, look, I'm going to take legal advice. If they want some legal advice, you can DM me, and I will put you straight to the legal team and leave myself from the conversation to total privacy. They will call you. They can meet with you if you want. They can do an online interview. They can call you. The text, if whatever the person wants is what they will do. The knowledge that they have is beyond me being able to tell you over the phone, because there's a massive list. I asked them to actually draft me something that I could tell you, and it's just such a huge list that I can't possibly tell you. Actually, let me open it and just read you the briefs. 1 second. Messages. We have so many messages. I'm just trying to look for it. If anyone from the team is listening, can somebody quickly send me through Jen's large message with all the legal data on it, please? So it pops up. I'm just looking for direct messages quickly. As you can imagine, we have so many messages.
Yeah.
Each community group, whether it be for the children's care, whether it be mental health, whether it be coordination, whether it be the tech team, whether it be investigations or just the community workers. We have so many message boards with so many people in them. It takes about an hour for me to catch up on messages, just scrolling.
Hopefully they'll get it to you.
Just give me a message. No, I can't see it. If any of you guys from the team are listening, if somebody could please just send me the message that Jen sent across with all the legal data that I can relay across. If that doesn't get to me, because they are really busy today, they may not be listening. It's Eid, so a lot of them are down helping organise the food for Eid and making sure that the families are feeling safe enough to go out and feeling protected from, the media and well-doers that they may not want to engage with. So they're quite busy today. If I get that data come in later on, perhaps I could send it to you.
Okay.
If you've got it at hand, just so that you can see what the legal team can do. If anybody immediately wants to make contact on that, I can actually just connect them straight away to Jen, and then Jen can forward you to the right legal team once she's taken those details. Because each solicitor and team of lawyers will assess each client differently as to what their needs are, because we have people who have various concerns, from simple things as to gaining new keys for a car that they may not have documents for, right the way through to the loss of a relative or personal injury. So the legal team are right the way across the board. Another thing I will say is that there have been allegations of threats to remove children. Now, I haven't seen them. I only know of one case that I can say I've seen the documentation. There have been threats. May I reiterate this? The threats have not been made personally by social services. The social workers we have that are engaging with the families are supportive. Now, when you have third parties threatening to go and remove children because of housing needs or housing situations, if anyone experiences that, if anyone's hearing rumours that they're worried about, whether it be the children, whether it be housing, whether it be parking of a car that you can't move because of no keys, anything that you have that's a legal matter, if you've got people hounding you for something that's overdue electric bill or something, whatever you've got that's a problem that the lawyers can help you with, just send me up a message and make sure that the message title you put legal, because that way I can instantly open it and send it to the right person. All I do is just literally copy and paste it across, send it to legal, and it's done. If you hedge, so for example, if somebody wants to send me something for the nursery, you put nursery. If it's for legal, put legal. If it's for donation, put donation. If it's for students. This way it makes it just a bit more organised. I can actually get it across to the right people as quickly as possible without having to go through a big conversation, a lengthy conversation to find out actually what they're offering. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Have you got any other questions?
I was just wondering, what's next? Where are you planning on moving forward next? Well, obviously the housing.
Personally, or as a team?
As a community, as a team.
As a community, I don't think that can be stated, because it's going to be continually changing. There's going to be continued change, because remember, the community are broken.
Yeah.
They're going to heal at different rates. So some people will want to say, I want it torn down, I want a memorial garden, and then other people are going to say, well, I want it thoroughly investigated, and other people are going to not speak because they're not able to. We've got people in hospitals, we've got people who are missing. You know, we can't say what the community want until the community have. I would suggest, it's just a suggestion from a therapy point of view, I would suggest that we have a calling off period. Allow the families some time. Allow them to the men and women of the fire service or of the criminal team that are down there investigating and still, I imagine, looking for the missing. Or I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. It's horrible. They're looking for evidence of occupation of the rooms.
Yeah.
And some of the rooms are going to have to be taken apart dust by dust, aren't they?
Yes,
or
they
part
are. They're going
part,
to have to
or
forensically
it's
test.
a very lengthy period of time. I did see someone saying, "Oh, the council wants to tear the building down and hide the evidence." Blah blah blah. Maybe something they could do if you see these wagons coming in that you think are going to knock this building round, rather than protesting down the street, why not just join hands and make a circle around that building? Don't let them near it. You know, it's just common sense for me. For me, don't do anything illegal. No one do anything illegal. Always think positively. Always think, well, what can I actually do? What can I really do? You can write to the Prime Minister. You can write a letter to her. You can write to the Queen. She's the head of your country. You can write to your local MP. You can write to your housing team. You can write to social services. You can send an email to anybody in the world. So do it. You know, rather than spend 20 minutes looking on Facebook for all the gory posts and all the pictures of flames and all the pictures of people doing selfies in front of the building. No, how about turning a blind eye from the negative, focusing on the positive and what can I actually do? You know, badger the council. Let's get these people housed. Let's get them either into hotels, you know, hotels that are going to perhaps come forward and cancel their bookings. Maybe the council can pay for those.
Yeah.
Get them into housing. If the council haven't got if they come forward and say we haven't got houses in this area, bear in mind they need to be in West London. This is West London families. It's not their fault they're homeless. They need to be in West London. They need to be in their community groups. Let's get relatives housed together in neighbourhoods. Let's get them into places. The report about the very insensitive report leaked saying that they've been offered these luxury apartments.
Yeah.
A. Do we really think anybody is going to want to go into a block?
No.
No. B. Do we really want them to go into a block where the neighbours and the building owners are saying they can't use the gym and they can't use the pool facilities? Hell no. If you're going to put them in these blocks, they have to have access to those things. You can't segregate them just because they're not buying the apartment.
I think that the newspapers have a lot to answer to on that. They weren't offered luxury apartments. They were offered social housing in 2 purposely built blocks for social housing, and they wouldn't have all the access to the stuff. But even that is not good enough for these people. And
no, they can't go into blocks.
No.
They need to go into calm environments. Bearing in mind, they're not housing 120 families, because 120 families haven't survived.
No.
We're talking about the small number of families that are on the ground. Sorry, I apologise to my team for saying on the ground. The number of families that are currently in temporary accommodation, those figures, which we don't have the figures for all of those numbers. I only know what's in the teams that we're dealing with. And those small numbers of families are not 120 homes. We have groups of 3 and 4 families that we need 3 or 4 homes. Yesterday, just as an example, there's a family out there, connected families, they need 3 2-bedroom houses and 1 3-bedroom house. How difficult is it for the council to go and say, well, actually, we need 3 houses, we don't have them, let's just quickly nip down to Foxes or Rightmove or what's the purple one called that's on the advert where the man loads on the carpet. Let's go in there, let's type in West London, let's type in the postcode, and let's just go and rent 3 houses in that area.
Yeah.
But you can go to any rental site online and you can click in an area and they'll bring you up 200 or 300 houses.
But these people have been told even if they stay with family and friends, they're not putting themselves off the housing rent. Because you're not looking. Yes. It's disgusting.
Because that's the council's way of reducing their costs. That's the council's way of saying, well, you're not liable for a home now, and if you do that, you'll lose your benefits, blah, 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 is rubbish. Anyone on benefits is allowed to have a private rental house with local housing allowance paid at a standard rate. So that means, legally, anybody that's been affected, that's on benefits, that's not working, that's disabled, you can go and take a private rent, as long as the rent is not more than the local housing allowance for your borough that the house is in, and as long as you only occupy the bedrooms allowance that you're entitled to. So that means if you're single, you're only allowed a one bedroom. If you've got one child, you're allowed a one bedroom. If you've got two children you're allowed a two bedroom. If you've got two children the same sex, they can occupy the same bedroom. So if you've got two girls, that's one bedroom for you, one bedroom for them. If you've got a boy and a girl, they're allowed to have separate bedrooms, and you're allowed a separate bedroom. You can then, and it's not like the council, they say, oh, we'll put you in this one bedroom, and in 6 months we'll rehouse you into two bedroom when you're entitled to it. You can go and take a private rent. You can say, I've got two children, a boy and a girl. We've got a 3-bedroom house, and you're entitled to have that rent paid immediately. If you're on benefits, as long as the rent is not above the local housing allowance rate. Now, you're not making yourself homeless. I would hazard a guess that if you then go into housing later on, it's going to be at the cost of your compensation. The only argument is that if you take somewhere that's more expensive than your local housing allowance, you're going to have to top it up with your benefits money, and you're going to be out of pocket. Those that are working, they can't do that, because if it's working couples, the money that you earn is deducted. So that means your housing benefit is going to decrease. That means you're not going to get your full housing benefit. You're going to have to pay the rent yourself, and it may leave you impoverished, which is why people are panicking, saying, no, don't put them in private rent, don't put them in private rent. So if it's a family that are on welfare benefits that are not working, maybe we've got adult students, maybe we've got people that are unable to work, but if you're on benefits, full benefits, if you've got a full benefit entitlement, there's no reason you can't go and get a private rent and get it paid for, as long as it's below. You need to check with the borough council their actual figures for housing allowance. Where I live, I can tell you, because I had an injury and I claimed my housing allowance while I was sick. So my area in Ealing, the local council housing rate for a two-bedroom home in Ealing is £266 a week. So as long as you find somewhere in Ealing that is less than £266 a week and you're entitled to 2 bedrooms, your rent's met in full. I think for a single person, I think a one-bedroom place is the monthly payment is £1,050, something like that. You know, so they need to check online for your borough council, find your housing and go rent that.
I just think that it shouldn't be about what's law and it should be about what's morally right.
Morally right, the council need to get off their asses and house them. Sorry.
Yeah, they should. These people have been through a terrible thing, and it's not about what the law tells you should do. It's about what your conscience, as a decent human being with the power to make these decisions and help these people. What is your responsibility?
Do they really have power? You see, what we're looking at now is the council staff have a hierarchy. The person at the top doesn't even have control. The person at the top is governed by legislation. The person at the top is governed by the budget that they've got. The person at the top is governed by what they're instructed to do from the next level upwards. And we never know who is connected to who, whether this goes directly back to finances, directly and overseen by Theresa May. You know, I always think work at the top. I think we should be tackling her, or the Queen. These are our two heads. We've got the Queen and we've got a Prime Minister. They're the people that need to be called to action. We need them to actually say, well, do you know what? The Queen or her representative needs to actually say, well, you know what? This is my country. This is my people. I need to help them. Let me get this done. Let me go and say I want this done. Let me go and demand this. Because when we have teams injecting that, for example, years ago, oh, we want to go to war. Oh, we don't want them to go to war. Bring them back. People make a decision. They say, they have a discussion, I don't know who, politically, a decision's made and they drag people back or they put them out. This is what I'm talking about, services. When they want to reduce things like school meals, or they want to sell off bits of the NHS, or they want to sell off bits of the railway or the post office, there's someone there at the top making those decisions. It's not the boss of Royal Mail. It's not the managers of the post office. Someone at the top is making those financial decisions. ultimately, the Queen and the Prime Minister have the ability to directly guide those people with their teams. I think they're the people that we need to be focusing on and asking our leaders to lead.
Well, I think she's been appalling since the day that she went down there and didn't meet anyone. In fact, the whole handling of the whole disaster from the Prime Minister has been shoddy and disrespectful and bare minimum, in my opinion.
I'm gonna keep it as honest and real as I always am. I can't stand the woman. I didn't even know she was the Prime Minister until way after she was Prime Minister, because I'm not involved in politics there at all. I've always been just let them get on with it. I did not vote for her. I think she should be gone. However, I do understand as a human being why she didn't go. Would you, or any one of you listening, and I'm not saying she's right, I'm saying she's totally wrong, it's totally disgraceful, but what I'm saying is I understand as a human being why she didn't go. Can you imagine the whole country hates you? Do you want to go and stand in the public? Do you want to go and risk yourself that actually that huge crowd might lunge for you? Somebody might want to punch you in the mouth, because I've watched people on the TV, I've watched interviews where I've wanted to climb inside the TV and slap someone. This is just watching videos in Facebook. I wanted to climb in, and my team will tell you, they've had a representative at a meeting just this week, and I said to her, please, will you film this? Will you film this? Please film it live. I want to ask you questions. I need you to shout these questions. And I actually was this poor girl, one of our team, bless her, and she'll know who she is. She'll know who she is when she hears this. She sat and did her live video, and literally I barraged off at shotgun rate, question after question after question after question. I was writing questions before she'd even asked them. You know, because I'm sat there listening to the amount of guff that's coming out of this woman's mouth, deflecting from direct questions, not answering direct questions, and the sheer audacity. Oh, bless you.
She's the leader.
Did you hear this?
Oh yeah.
So for those few numbers who haven't, let me just move out of the way, because I'm directly next to the mosque.
Mm-hmm.
We had a huge amount of Islamophobia before this happened, and we had some incidents afterwards that were disputable as to whether they were racial or religious based. However, one thing I do want to say as a European, Christian-raised, Italian-Irish mix, growing up with a Roman Catholic family, I lived in a Muslim country for 75% of the year. It is so peaceful. This sound that you're hearing now, he's calling. What he's actually saying is, he's saying, and God and Allah means the same thing. If you translate Allah, it means God. If you translate God, it means Allah. He's saying God is the greatest, and he's saying that Muhammad is his messenger, and he's calling them to pray. So 5 times a day, all of the Muslim people in this country and other Muslim countries, they're reminded of religion. They're reminded to pray. They're reminded not to do bad things. Some pray, some don't, some pray at home, some go to mosque. But whatever they're doing, if you're in a restaurant eating and there's music on, they turn the music down. Everyone just takes a breath. And actually it's quite humbling to be reminded, actually, regardless of your faith, I think one of the problems we have in the UK and possibly Europe is silent religion. We've become so politically correct. Everyone is so scared of being segregated or abused or upsetting someone else that instead of embracing all cultures and all religions, what we've managed to do is make them silent. So nobody sees them and nobody hears them. And the one thing that this disaster has done, it's kind of brought everyone together. Everyone's kind of seen the reality that actually this is a community of human beings, regardless of race, regardless of language, regardless of ability, regardless of gender, regardless of sexual orientation or religion, that we are all empathic human beings. And this is not just this community, it's the UK, it's Europe, and it's globally. I can say that because of the people that have come forward with donations. The people that have come forward. I had one message that said that before seeing this, and before being actually physically in this community and actually experiencing a Muslim give them something, even in this horrible times, to have somebody give you something and invite you into the mosque when you're not Muslim was actually a bit of an eye opener. That what we've been fed through the years by the press and by the media has been segregating us all. This fueling of hate, this fueling of every time we see a report of something happening that's about religion or colour or where we're from or what we believe.
These
stories, they don't actually unite us. They actually separate us. They segregate us and they label us. And they cause a divide. And the only good that I can say has come out of this, and I wish it hadn't have had to be this way, but the only good that I can say that's come out of this is the fact that the community has become so close. You know, the community down there it's a community grief. It's a country's grief. It's a global grief. I've sat at the table this afternoon with a Moroccan family who have, the two that speak English have translated to the others why I'm flying tomorrow, where I'm going. Why Nick doesn't look happy today is Nick's really actually quite upset that she's going to have to fly and leave nice comfortable Morocco, that I hear this mosque. From where I am now, I can see everyone that's going towards the mosque is in the correct clothing, the Islamic clothes, walking to mosque. They go to pray. Maybe they pray for 15 minutes, maybe somebody's there an hour, it's their choice. They're not running around with beer and doing bad things that we see in our own country. It's very humbling, and I love this, and I think that if we didn't have such a silent religion across the board, if all of the religious faiths were able to ring church bells on a Sunday, not just when somebody's died or a funeral, if the mosques were allowed to call, if other faiths have some kind of calling for prayer, I think if we embraced that and stopped being scared of upsetting people and actually said, you know what, it's a free country, you can go to whichever one you like, you can go to all of them if you choose. If you want to go to all of them, go. Let them call. Let them be visible. Let us bring back a visible presence of people who believe in God, who believe in something. Even, you know, I've got friends that don't believe in God and say I'm atheist, and I always say the same thing. I'll say, well, what happens when you die then? And they say, oh, you just go in the ground. And I say, yeah, but we're made of atoms, yeah? And they'll say, yeah. And they say, well, you know atoms, when you cut something that's made of atoms, the atoms are released. It's like, yeah. Well, so where's that energy going then? Well, it goes to its source of energy. Well, exactly. What do you think that source of energy is? Like, well, I don't know. I say, well, that's the whole point. Some people will label that source of energy God, some will label it Allah, some will label it Chi, some will label it now, the politically unoffensive word is universe, but we all have a name for that source of energy.
I always think that religions are different stories told in different manners for different people to understand and get the same message, and the same message tends to be kind to one another, to look after one another, and to love one another.
Yeah, exactly that. The thing that I find most interesting being here and being exposed to Islam now for nearly 2 years is the stories in the Quran are actually the same as the Bible. We don't get taught this as Christians. We're taught that it's, you know, some of us are taught to a point that it's a fake religion and it doesn't exist and this didn't happen and that didn't. But actually, when you look into it, I would encourage anyone that doesn't know anything about it and just has an opinion to go and actually go to the mosque and have a look. Just go and have a look. Just go and feel, because what you feel is the same as if you go into a church. The first time I went into a mosque, I said, "Oh wow, it's the same feeling I get when I walked into the church. It's the same. It's that peaceful, safe environment. The things that are different, and I can kind of get them now as well. So the praying in Islam is with the face down. However, if you look in the Bible, it says he fell on his knees and prayed. It's exactly the same thing. It's just been interpreted differently.
Yeah.
He fell on his face. If it fell on the floor and prayed, it's the same thing. It's just a different interpretation. Things like just moving from city to city and talking to different types of people here. Different cities and different families have different ways of their washing routine. Some wash left to right, some wash head to foot, some wash back to front. People, it's the same amount of times, but it may be different. The way that they pray, the routine of praying, is not always the same. Sometimes it's slightly different, but generally it's the same kind of pattern. We have similar in churches. You go into a church service, there'll be the first person you see who's going to talk to you. Then you'll be a bit of song and a bit of prayer. It's a routine.
Yeah.
It's just that routine is not religious. That routine is cultural.
Is that even like Catholics are supposed to cover their heads when they go into church? You know, like the women are supposed to.
I don't remember that when I was little.
Well, they don't so much anymore, but a good, you know, Irish Catholic stuck in their tradition will cover their heads when they go. A woman will cover her head when she goes into a church.
See, I'm quite. Here we have all sorts. We have girls who wear Western clothes, and we have girls that are fully covered with just the eyes showing. So everything in between as well. So I'm in someone else's country. It's not my home country. On Fridays, when everyone goes to mosque on a Friday, it's like Sunday. It is Friday. Friday here is like a Sunday. It's the weekend.
Yeah.
And so everyone's covered. I know that if I go out on a Friday, I can't go out in knee-length shorts and a t-shirt with my shoulders showing because everyone's going to mosque and it's totally disrespectful. So I wouldn't do it because I don't want to be looked at and frowned upon. I'm respecting the religion and the culture of the country that I'm in. If I was to go to mosque for a service, I will cover my hair. This because it's what their rule is for their church. Their mosque is, you know, that you cover. You wear your jaleba and you cover your hair. That's how it is here. If I went to a church in the UK, one of my friends invited me to go to church in the UK, I'm not going to wear the same clothes. I'm not going to wear a jaleba and cover my hair because that's not what's required of me. No. That's not the, you know, if I'm going to go off to, for example, ECC in Ealing, if I'm going to go to ECC and jump about and clap my hands and sing praise and, you know, I'm not going to be wearing the clothes that I would wear to go shopping on a Friday in the Medina. So I kind of think dress code and traditional things are human imposed. You know, certain things are stated in the Bible, certain things are stated in the Quran. The Quran tells women how to dress. But things that men bring out of context is maybe a man will say, oh, you should cover this and this and this and this. And actually what it does say, and I've researched this, what it actually says is that Allah says that a woman knows what is modest and what isn't. And that she should cover her bosom. That's what it actually states. It says she should cover her bosom and she knows what is modest and what is not. Now that gives us the opportunity to know, well, you're not actually going to cover yourself head to foot when you go to swim in the sea. However, it says cover your bosom. You don't really want your boobs flopping about for everyone to see in an Islamic country because it tells you clearly cover them. Equally, in the Bible, some devout Christians will tell you they don't eat shellfish or pork. People will say not eating pork is only a Muslim thing, and it's not. It's in the Bible. In the Old Testament, there was no eating of pork and no eating of shellfish. What it clearly states in the Bible is you shouldn't eat anything from the sea that doesn't have scales. That would include dolphin, shark, shellfish, oysters, lobster. They don't have scales. People kind of, I have a feeling from seeing it from both aspects, people tend to focus on small pieces of their religions. I mean, I'm lucky, and I don't mean this disrespectfully. I'm lucky I don't have a Jewish friend because I would be even more confused. If I had to be exposed to that as well for 2 years, I would be even more confused than I already am. Are you laughing?
Yeah, I did laugh, yeah. It's just, I think we can all respect each other's beliefs and things. You know, everybody's entitled to believe in what they want.
My Christian friends and my European friends, when I first came out, they said, oh, you can't go there, it's an Islamic country, it's dangerous. Okay. When I come back to the UK, sometimes more than often than not, I'll travel on the tube, from airport to tube. And when I see alcohol being consumed in public, or promiscuous clothing, or I see street crimes, or you see, you know, somebody shaking for 20 pence, and you know that they've got an addictive personality or an addictive problem, that to me is a lot less dangerous than what I see here. And it's shocking because we've got a more developed country. I've seen children here playing on the streets with rolled up carrier bags with elastic bands around as a football in impoverished areas with kids with no shoes, smiling and laughing and joking. And I've witnessed children and they won't like me for this because they're my friends and people close to me. I've seen 6 and 8 year olds screaming the house down and having a hissy fit and being given an iPad or a phone to shut them up.
Oh, that's my pet hate, is when you go into a shop and you've got some kids absolutely screaming, I want this, I want that, and the parents buy it.
They give it.
And I'm like, what?
My son Sam, I have a son called Sam who's a chef. He's my second son. He will not appreciate me saying this. Well, actually, he probably won't listen because I won't send him the link because I won't want to embarrass him. He was about 2, and I took him and his brother, who would have been about 3.5, into what was then Gateway's supermarket. They don't exist anymore. So
I remember Gateway.
Double trolley, one in each side. Went round the shop, and Sam decided that he wanted sweeties. Now his word at the time, being 2, was Wheaties, Wheaties, Wheaties. So 20 minutes of Wheaties around the shop, and I've been strong. You know, they used to get the option of a bit of crusty bread, some bread and some cheese and some grapes as I went round, pay for it at the till. Grant's happily munching away on his snacks. Sam doesn't want this, he wants Wheaties, Wheaties, Wheaties. I got to the till, and I've enjoyed this for 20 minutes doing my thing. And this well-meaning, what I would call old biddy, looked at me and looked at him with pity and said, "Oh, poor little thing," and she wanted to hand him some sweets. I picked up the screaming 2-year-old, handed him to her and said, "You have him now," and continued to pack my shopping. She was so shocked, she didn't know what to do. But to tell you what, never asked for Wheaties going around that shop ever again. He never asked for them again. And I'm sure it's a fear of being given to a stranger. I think we all have got sucked into quite a what's the word I'm looking for? Materialistic existence.
Yes.
Of having too much. We actually just have too much of everything. You know, when I look at the food here that's quite often thrown away, and I've got to the stage now where I used to throw things away that in the UK, I used to throw things away. So if you've got an apple that's not quite perfect, I wouldn't think twice about tossing it in the bin. You know, if I've got a banana that's gone a bit brown, I wouldn't think twice about throwing it in the bin. If I've got a bit of cheese that's gone a bit dry around it, I'd just throw it in the bin and buy a new one. Yet here, when you've spent time with other people who actually you see them cut the edge of that cheese, or rescue part of that apple, or make juice with it, or you see someone, you know, use the squishy tomatoes in a sauce, and there's less waste. And it just teaches us, you know what, I've actually wasted so much food over the years that I needn't have wasted just by being a bit ignorant. You know, how many times do any of us look in the fridge and there's a lettuce that's gone a bit yucky and we throw it out, or, you know, your potatoes gone a bit soft because you haven't used them quick enough, because we buy too much.
I'm terrible. I'm thrifty. I have to be thrifty. I've got 4 kids.
Yeah. Me too.
So I'll cook.
But here,
I'll cook one at the beginning of the week. I'm planning like the leftovers from this meal is making like some the next day. But but that's because I don't like waste. And like I do this community centre now, and we've been offered a second community centre, which next year when it's built, that will be a community cafe, and it will take all the waste food from the supermarkets and feed people on donations, so that nobody in the estate goes hungry. Is the idea.
That is absolutely fantastic. That is so nice to hear. I remember when I was 18, I worked in McDonald's on a Friday and Saturday night, just to have a bit of extra income. We used to have to count away the chicken nuggets that were going into waste. Every piece of waste had to be counted into a bin and disposed of, so that nobody could get hold of it and then claim food poisoning afterwards. And it was just such a massive amount of waste of foods. You know, there is just such a big waste. The other problem we have in the UK is we've become quite lazy. In the UK, I wouldn't think twice about jumping in my car just to go to the local shop to grab something, because it's easy. I know that when I go in there, I'm going to go grab this, and this, and I don't want to walk and carry it home. I see women in their 80s and 90s here walking on, and we don't have great pavements and roads. They're walking on really bad roads and pavements. They walk to the local market trader. They buy their vegetables for the day or for 2 days, and then they walk back home carrying those bags themselves. They don't have someone help them. You know, you'll see disabled people here. You see a lot of amputees with leg problems. There's a huge diabetic problem here, and I'm putting 2 and 2 together and thinking maybe the loss of foot is diabetic related.
Yeah.
But you see prosthetics here are not like we have in the UK. It's a very obvious, big, huge, usually unfitting. It's probably been donated because there's no NHS here. There's no benefit system. There's no council housing. You've either got it or if you haven't. If you haven't got it and you haven't got family, you're on the streets, and it's just what you can have. People will put their hands out and say, "Can you give me something to food?" You know, it's quite a different kind of environment. So people with prosthetics here, they tend to be incorrectly fitted. They tend to be oversized. They are very, very visible. They look like something you'd find in the UK on a movie in the 70s.
Yeah.
You know, you see people like this still walking, on their feet, walking with crutches to go and do their shopping, walking to go and fetch things. You still see people working like this, and employment here is not great either. There's a vast a vast amount of labour available, and there's not a vast amount of companies investing in the country to generate those jobs, to create companies and generate jobs. So it's a bit of a vicious circle. But they manage. So all foods are home cooked. We do have in the cities and in the towns, in the centres, lovely restaurants. I quite often go to the marina and post with my fancy tea and my fancy cake. We have all these big things, but generally, families that go there is for a treat. And I don't mean a once a week treat or a once a day treat or a Friday night treat. Like, we're talking birthdays and anniversaries and special occasions. It's not something that people do on a regular. When I've been and ordered a pizza and and someone said, there's 49 dirhams. It's expensive. 49 dirhams is about £4.90. And I'm thinking, my gosh, in the UK, I'm looking at double this. If I go into Domino's, I'm looking at 10, 20 quid for a big pizza.
Yeah.
Yes, they're very more cautious with money. A lot more cautious with money because it's not so easily obtained. The walking is because vehicles are not very easily obtained, and things like that. I mean, in this community, when we rebuild, maybe rebuild this community. Part of it could be looked at from an environmental perspective, from a health perspective. Well, actually, what do they need in here for the future and for future generations to make this a healthy area? When you start if I go into a really affluent area, I'm not going to see a betting shop, I'm not going to see a chicken shop, and I'm not going to see a backstreet barber. You're not going to see it. You're going to see a fancy salon and a fancy restaurant and a fancy swanky bar, and it's all upwards. It's all upmarket, and they're taking in decent salaries and they're taking in expensive prices. If you go into London, into the suburbs, and you look around, what you can actually see is you'll see betting shops. And what's happening is, it's almost like it's allowing people to remain poor. Because if, just an example somebody gave me, so I'm not going to claim this as my own wonderful idea because somebody gave me this visual. If you are on a low income and you only have £60 and you've spent £40 on your food and you've got £20 left, you're more likely to walk in that betting shop and gamble that £20 and end up with nothing than actually win something. But you've spent that £20 and the owners of the gambling shop have gained your £20 because you're hoping to have that big payout.
Yeah.
If you've got a decent salary and you don't need £20 and you don't need £40, the chances are, unless you've got a personality that likes to gamble, that likes risk, that doesn't care about money, that actually thinks betting is okay, you're not really going to go in that shop and just give them 20 quid.
Well, you see it all the time. If you go to any poor area, you can guarantee them lottery scratch card tickets are flying out the door. You can't keep up with them because for the sake of £1, you might be able to send your kids to after school club this week, or maybe they could go swimming at the weekend, or maybe they could go to a little disco, because you haven't really got the money unless some good fortune comes your way that you can actually treat your kids or buy food.
So far we've only been talking about one building that may or may not come down or be rebuilt, but we also have all the other towers around that are going to now be investigated and may well need rebuilding as well in the same area. So that would mean that there would be ability to have a regeneration program down there and rebuild without these horrible little shops and betting shops and places that are going to take the money and leave poorer families poor, and perhaps look at, well, what does the community really want? Do they want to have, for example, everyone was talking about what they would want for this building, what they would want to happen, and I just said, and it's only me, it's not nothing to do with the group, because most of them are people anyway. If it was me, if that was my family that died in that fire, I'd be asking for a fire station. I'd be asking for a fire station on site, because I don't want that to happen to any of the other blocks. How long did it take them to get there?
Yeah.
Put up a local fire station, and if they want a memorial garden, great, but prevention of something else happening to those other blocks, to me, was just a logical thing. Hydrants. Get some hydrants down there when you regenerate. Get some small business units in there, like the pop-up stores, so that those that have ideas that want to work can go and take those units. Get a community centre in there, get the nursery in there, get a dentist in there that takes NHS patients and doesn't say, oh, sorry, we're not taking any more NHS patients. Get like put a studio in there for the artists who want to paint. Yeah, like really involve the community in what they really do want in there, because potentially that site, if people don't want to live there, they could turn it into a community building that housed everything. You could have it, like you say, a community cafe. You could have a community barber. You could have the dentist in there. You could have the vet.
Well, you've got so many people nowadays that are like, there's elderly people in this country. I haven't spoken to anyone for a month. And I know the likes of these high-rise flats because my family have lived in high-rise flats, and I've had elderly relatives live in high-rise flats as well. You know, this isn't just young people that are put in these flats. You've got disabled, you've got families, you've got a bit of everything, you know. The community needs, I think it's very important for communities to have areas that they get together. The death of community is half of the problem of why they managed to get away with the fire regulations and things for so long, because when communities come together and work together on the problems, they get results a bit more.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, I suppose something that we could ask for down there is now, you know how every, I don't know how many years it is, they do a census report. So something along those lines for the actual community, quite widespread, those affected in that area. Maybe something like almost like a census that is asking them questions about their interests, what they like, what they would like to see in that area, to gain a true picture of what the community really do want a bit later on for this place. Because right now the only considerations they'll be offered are knock it down and build a memorial site, or rebuild it, or maybe something in the middle.
And how do you guarantee that memorial site in 50 years' time is not turned into luxury apartments? You know,
exactly.
we want preservation orders on it. We want it like proper, you can't do anything with this.
Which is unlikely to happen, because in the future they'll claim 30 years time they'll say, well, those people aren't in power anymore and those generations have died and the 99-year lease on the land is gone and it's going to go back to the government, and then they'll resurface it and do what they like with it. Whereas if you've got something that was community actioned, if they had that land for the community to build something on that they want for their area, like what is missing in that area? What do they want as a memorial? Rather than just a memorial picture, put up a memorial building, put up a memorial garden with it, but use that building, that potential. Think of it as you could have a 3 or 4 story building there that contained everything they need. You could have mental health there, they could have child services there, they could have private education for example, you may have, with all these different nationalities, you may have children that need to have TEFL. You could get TEFL teachers in there, you could get after school club, all the things that they want if they take their time and don't rush into a decision and collectively take some time to think about what they really want, what would really benefit the community and the members of those communities. For example, you're saying about the elderly and less able as well. There's no reason a ground floor couldn't have ramp access and lifts to go upstairs. If we're talking about a new build, you could have maybe have ground floor is perhaps part of it is allocated to shelters housing for those elderly, warden assisted flats. You know, how many places now have warden assistants? A lot of these people that have survived, they may want to go into a warden assisted place. I know if it was me, I'd be wanting to go into a building that I could see visibly hoses and fire extinguishers and blankets, but I would want somebody living off site. I'd want it warden assisted, so I know if anything's going wrong.
There's someone looking out after you. Oh, are you still there?
There's 2 or 3 bedrooms sat somewhere.
Right,
a nice little 2 or 3 bedroom just out in Grenfell.
I'm going to have to go because I've got to get ready for the school run and pick up my children, but it's been lovely talking to you.
I'd want somebody in my...
Hello?
My battery is going low. I've talked. Hello?
Yeah, I've got to go now because of the school run, but thanks, it's been great chat.
My battery's gone.
Worn it out. So check out Nicolette on Facebook if you'd like to help in any way, and if you yourself need help, also contact her directly.
Yes, and I can just hook you up to the right people. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's been great.
I'm sure I've forgotten some things. If I've forgotten anything, I'll send it on to you. It may well be that some of our coordinators want to have a chat with you as well at some point. At the moment they're a little bit busy, but maybe I might be able to, talk them into being a bit brave and having a chat with you. Because there's people there with a lot more information than I have, especially when it comes to regarding law or legislations or the childcare or the nursery or what's going on the ground with storage. You know, each department has somebody that's a lot more in the know than I am out here in Morocco. So yeah, hit me up if you need the connections there, and if you want to help get involved. Thank you very much.
All right, then. Thank you very much for coming on.
That's right. Thank you. Bye.
What do you desire? What makes you itch? What sort of a situation would you like? Let's suppose, I do this often in vocational guidance of students. They come to me and say, well, we're getting out of college and we haven't the faintest idea what we want to do. So I always ask the question, what would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life? Well, it's so amazing. As a result of our kind of educational system, crowds of students say, well, we'd like to be painters, we'd like to be poets, we'd like to be writers, but as everybody knows, you can't earn any money that way. Or another person says, well, I'd like to live an out-of-doors life and ride horses. I say, do you want to teach in a riding school? Let's go through with it. What do you want to do? When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that. And forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. And after all, if you do really like what you're doing, it doesn't matter what it is, you can eventually turn it, you could eventually become a master of it. The only way to become a master of something is to be really with it. And then you'll be able to get a good fee for whatever it is. So don't worry too much. Somebody's interested in everything. And anything you can be interested in, you'll find others who are. But it's absolutely stupid to spend your time doing things you don't like in order to go on spending things you don't like and doing things you don't like, and to teach your children to follow in the same track. See, what we're doing is we're bringing up children and educating them to live the same sort of lives we're living, in order that they may justify themselves and find satisfaction in life by bringing up their children, to bring up their children to do the same thing, so it's all wretch and no vomit. It never gets there.